Today we're chatting with Liz Johnson about A Dazzle of Diamonds, her new book that is coming out later this summer. Before I start, Liz, I just want you to know we took a vote. Okay, not an official vote. It was just actually just me. And we have decided to make you an honorary Canadian because of the Prince Edward Island series.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't come with any money or any hang on your outfit, but I just thought that was a nice thing that we should do for you. And thank you for visiting PEI, even if it was just in fiction.
I really appreciate that. I've been to the island 5 times and I would keep going back if I could, but things are a little locked down at the moment. So when they reopen, I'll be ready to go back.
Very good. Well, let's get to Dazzle of Diamonds, which also is on the coast. It's the Georgia coast in this particular example. But tell me a bit about this setting. You obviously like water. So what made you to decide to go to Georgia for this series?
Yeah, well, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, which is all desert. And so there's something for me that's really wonderful about the coast and about being along the shoreline. It's one of the reasons I love writing about islands and writing about the coast. There's something really peaceful about that and soothing and also just inspiring. And so I fell in love with the Georgia coast when I visited my aunt a couple of years ago. She was staying on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and she invited me to come for a visit. So I did, and I just fell in love with the history there and the beauty. Savannah is just such a historical city. It's the oldest city in Georgia, and so there's lots of history and lots of interesting contemporary things going on there as well. But what I really love the most about Savannah, where the second 2 books in the Georgia Coast romance are set, I love that it is a city of stories. Everyone there has a story to tell and they want to share it. There are tours that you can take, just endless options to take tours of old homes, and you can hop on these big lumbering buses that are just going up and down the road, and everybody has a story to tell. And I love that. I love writing stories about people who love stories.
Oh, very good. That's fascinating. In this story, we have Penelope and Tucker. And Penelope, pardon me, is an event coordinator, and Tucker runs a security outfit, but he finds himself running for sheriff. How much research did you need to do to discover what an event coordinator does and how one runs for sheriff?
Yeah. So thankfully, I have actually worked in event planning before. That's been part of my job. I've been in marketing and publicity for a number of years. And so I had a little bit of experience in event planning, but additionally, my best friend for years has been a professional event planner. And so it was really easy just to pick up on a lot of things she had taught me over the years and things that I had gleaned from her. And then as far as running for sheriff, that was a new one for me. But I have an appreciation for political television shows. The West Wing here in the US was one of my favorites when that was on. And so lots of kind of just, picking just little kernels out to tuck into this. The great thing is that I didn't dive too deep into the political process. It's much more about the about smear campaigns and about how Tucker's opponent is not a man of integrity. And so he's sort of throwing Tucker under the bus. And so it becomes more about the adventure of finding a lost treasure to clear his name.
Very good. For me, a sheriff is Andy Griffith. We don't actually elect sheriffs in Canada.
Okay.
That's not a process here. So I find it very fascinating, the process. And I can certainly understand how, if you're objecting to what one sheriff is doing, you might be find yourself running for a sheriff.
Yes.
How much of the characters are based on people that you know? I know obviously your friend is an event coordinator, but I'm not sure if Penelope is based on her. But how are characters in your books related to maybe people that you know or stories you've heard from people that you know?
Ooh, that's a good question. I try not to make any one of my characters too much of someone that I know. They're not entirely based on someone I know, but always I try to weave um, a lot of humanity into my characters. And so I pick that up from people that I know, from interactions that I've had. And so definitely I try and tuck those in. I always try and tuck something into my stories that connects to my family's history or experiences. And so when my sister reads the books, she's always like, "Oh, I saw what you did there." And so that may not mean much to anybody else, but to my family, it's become sort of special to have a little familial Easter egg in each of the stories.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, Liz, to tell us about your upcoming book. We look forward to reading it when it does release, and we appreciate your time today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much for chatting with me.